G'day, it's Mike from Swimrun Wild here today, and welcoming Peter McKenna from Try to talk about swimrun. So, Peter, first of all, for those that aren't familiar or haven't met you before, could you share a little bit about your sporting background, please?
Um, Way back in the dinosaur ages, when I was a youngster, I used to be able to run pretty darn well, and then life got in the way. I had a very interesting time for quite a few years, and then started to come towards middle age and realised I needed to do something physical again. And triathlon seemed like an interesting challenge. The multi-sport races and so on seemed like a very interesting challenge, and so explored that, and I've been hooked ever since.
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah. And now you also gone so far as to actually run your own squad, try, and cover all the facets of triathlon, etc.
Yes, it's sort of evolved as time has gone on, and I think because I do enjoy it so much, I've just kind of thrown myself more and more into it, and then picked up bits and pieces as I've gone along, and wanted to try and pass that on. But really, having a group is probably the most important part, because there's a lot of collective wisdom there, and people can just help each other and support each other.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So on to swimrun. So when did you first hear about swimrun?
I was talking to someone, I can't remember who it was, but they mentioned this crazy idea. I think it may have been you, in fact, Michael, the notion, and I'd never heard of it. I'd never come across it, and you explaining it was out of Europe and was quite popular there, and I thought, well, that sounds nuts enough to give it a go. Different, fun. The fact that triathlon tends to be a fairly solo sport. We do train together quite a bit, but when the gun goes and when the siren starts, you're very much on your own, really, out there. There's a lot of camaraderie, but you're not side by side with someone. You're not working in a team as a rule. And even if you're doing a relay event, you're not side by side. So the idea of being teamed up with someone, having someone along with you, just, it was intriguing and sounded like a lot of fun.
Yeah. And is that what basically prompted you to enter your first swimrun event?
Absolutely. Yeah. The idea to get together with someone else and just try it together, something we'd never tried, either of us, or most of the people there. That first one that I went to, none of us had given it a go before, so there was a lot of unknown.
Yep.
And it was good fun.
Brilliant. So what did you like most about the swimrun event? I mean, you touched on a few things, how it's different to triathlon, while still containing the same sort of disciplines in the swimming and the running, but yeah, it is a team sport. What sort of was the main thing that you you found most enjoyable?
I enjoyed that it was a physical challenge still, and that's not first and foremost, but it's what I look for in a lot of these things, that it's something challenging to try out something new. Being an unknown, or you can't compare apples with apples, which is great. So if you do terribly, it doesn't matter. It's your first time, and it's all up from there. Again, I think for the most part, it was that idea of being side by side with someone and encouraging each other and working together and having a laugh, which is what we did a lot of the time. I love the notion of the equipment that you use is the equipment that you must take. So it was very interesting to watch the other teams coming along and then thought about it as well, and what they could use and couldn't use, and what might work and not work. And there was a lot of discussion around, should you take flippers, for instance? Should you have hand paddles? How are you then going to run? So the tactics were wide and varied. And I think for people to turn their mind to something a bit new and a bit different, in that regard, we've a lot of us have done that multi-sport stuff before, and it's not all tried and tested, but this was a new frontier for most of us as far as we were concerned. So it was just fascinating to watch. And the first one I went to, as I say, there were a lot of interesting tactics used by people. But all in all, the thing I saw most, the most common thing amongst all the teams, is they were smiling, and yeah, they were having fun.
Yeah, yourself with Andrew Zielinski, you currently hold the Tasmania Male Swimrun Championship title from Arm End just recently. So congratulations on that. But what would be your tips that you would pass on to anybody who's new to swimrun, or I mean, we're all new, but thinking about giving swimrun a go and how they should approach their first swimrun event?
Find that person that's compatible, not just physically, but someone that you're going to enjoy spending quite a period of time with. it was interesting with AZ and I when we won the state championship, which sounds a lot more glorious than it was, as we were the only competitors in the all-male category in that event, that we were quite well paced in terms of the swim and the run, that we could work together, encourage each other when we needed to. When one was feeling tired, the other could, just try and G the other up. And it was that camaraderie, but look for someone that you're happy to share that experience with, but also someone that's not going to take it too seriously, because things can go wrong on that day. And if they're going to feel frustration because you're not feeling well or keeping up with their pace, then perhaps that's not the person for you. So it needs to be someone that's fairly easygoing as well.
So, like I mentioned at the start of the discussion, you do run the triathlon squad here in Tasmania. Can you just cover a little bit about the services you provide and how you can assist anyone who is interested in giving triathlon a go, swim run a go as well, duathlon, or just improving their general level of fitness?
Well, the group is made up of predominantly middle-aged flogs like myself, really, people that are having a go. We have a lot of newbies coming into sport. We have a do not leave anyone behind philosophy. So if we're on a swim or a ride or a run, it is done as a group. People can, for the rides, for instance, if people want to speed off and do something, that's fine, but we regroup quite regularly and we make sure we support those new people. So it's a nurturing environment as well. A lot of group discussion before and after each training session. So we spend that time going through things with each other. And probably the commonality between the swim run and and triathlons is there's a lot of fear. There's a big fear factor around the swimming side of it. People are quite nervous about open water swimming if they've done a lot of pool swimming or they're quite new to swimming in general. They feel uncomfortable with that. So again, we take a lot of time of getting people feeling comfortable, spending that time in the water. And just relaxing and enjoying themselves. And hopefully, we can get them over the line for the first time and then they can work from there. But it's about supporting one another, really.
Brilliant. Yeah. And so you have the group squad training sessions. You also write plans for people, is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So we still referring to it. I write out about half a dozen people at the moment writing programs from absolute beginners to people that want to extend themselves that little bit further. They've already achieved a little bit, but they want to just get a little bit more further along. They want to do a little bit better each time. They want to go greater distances. They just want to push themselves and try a bit harder, and to have a plan in mind, to have things set out for them, and to be, a lot of the time, it's being answerable to someone as well. They find that just helps them focus and helps them stay on track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with that in mind, I dare say that there wouldn't have to be local to benefit from that sort of training plan, because you can write it up, and whether you be 2 minutes away, 2 hours away, or further, you can still get feedback from them from their sessions and adjust your plan accordingly so they can achieve a better outcome than what they would have otherwise.
Absolutely, yeah. One chap, for instance, was in Spain for 6 months. So he was a local, but he was over in Spain. So I was having to write and adjust things for him there. So it's certainly possible to do it remotely. Yeah. I do like it if it's people that are local, so that we can catch up and have that physical contact and go through things and work on some technique bits and pieces. But it works quite well remotely as well. And I make sure that we catch up once a week to go see how things have gone during the previous week and to adjust things accordingly.
Mm-hmm. You have got a very active group chat as well, where people interact with each other. So even if you're not available, there's others there to organise off squad sort of group gatherings for runs, for rides, and for swim sessions too, haven't they? So it's good to see that sort of camaraderie developing.
It's been interesting post or during, not post-COVID, but as COVID started, that side of it started to pick up more and more. People were putting messages out saying, I'm going to head out and do this. They were looking for one person to work with. So it's become, again, less of me passing out information or saying that a training session's moved or something like that, to people wanting to contact with one another, to get in contact to organise their own training sessions, or just say, I'm heading out for a quick swim in an hour's time. Is there anyone that wants to come along? So it's yes, it's evolved as time has gone on, which has been fantastic.
So what equipment have you used so far in a swim run, and what do you think you might use in future that you haven't used already, if anything?
I'm a bit slack. Yeah. I've seen the people with the pool boys strapped to the leg and hand paddles and the various tactics, and that seems to work quite well for them. But to be honest, I'm just quite happy to get out and wear a wetsuit or a race suit and go for a bit of a run and a bit of a swim. I'm not hell bent on trying to get across that line nice and fast as the previous race with they said, I will prove. We were stone motherless last across that line, and had a great time doing it. So I'm not a Puritan by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's fantastic to see the bits and pieces, but to be honest, I'm a bit too lazy to carry them around. I'm just happy to go for a swim and a run and a swim and a run and do it that way.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a great thing too. You can have as much stuff or as little stuff as you like, but like you mentioned at the start, whatever you grab, you've got to carry the whole way around. So yeah, it can be good, it can also be bad.
Yeah. Again, it was interesting to watch, and hats off to the people that have really thought it's right. You could see the people that had done a few events and they'd refined not their technique, but refined the items they were taking with them, and they were very well organised. And to see them disappear into the distance very, very quickly, I might add, it just shows that if you get those tactics right and you're working with the right person and you have that experience behind you, that you really can motor through that course quite quickly.
Yeah, support each other and have a good time ultimately. So, brilliant. Is there anything else you think you'd like to add, or we should add to this chat, Pete?
No, I would like to see more people give it a go. It was after we talk about each one of I've only done 2 events, but each time I've talked about it to the people I've spoken to, they go, "Oh, that's a great idea. I must do the next one. I must do the next one." And then life gets in the way. So it'll be interesting. I sincerely hope that we can drag a few people along kicking and screaming to a certain extent, just to get them to experience, so that they themselves can go away going, "Oh, wow, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot more fun than I expected," or that was as fun as I expected, because they love the concept. It's finding the time, I think, for a lot of people to actually dip their toe in there. But I think, like me for triathlon, I think once you try it that first time, you go, "That was excellent. That was a lot of fun."
Yeah.
So if people are thinking about doing it, start looking around for that person you're going to do it with now. Find that person, rather than if entry is open for the next race in 3 weeks' time. It's very difficult to find someone within that 3-week period or 2.5 weeks before the race opens, and that's often, I think, where people fail to make it to the starting line. If you're thinking about doing it, start searching as soon as you can for that person. Get them on board. You don't necessarily have to go and train together. You can sit down and work out a few tactics over a few drinks. Would lead to some very amusing things on race day, I would imagine. But find your person, and then when the event comes up, you're ready to go, and there's no excuses then. Just come along and have fun and push yourself, challenge yourself to something different.
Yeah, you've locked yourself in, you've locked your team member in. That's the hardest part, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, so hopefully if AZ will watch this at some stage, the next event, I've already penciled him in, and I'm quite happy to pay the entry fee to get him there, because again, I just had such a blast. So I look forward to the next one.
No, that's brilliant. Thanks, Pete, and thanks for your time and your participation. It's great.
Again, thanks for putting them on, Mike. And the more we can get there, the more fun it will be as well. And hopefully in the next race, AZ and I will be fighting someone for that last position.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. Cheers. Have a good night, mate.